Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. In the comics, TV, and movies, we'll go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to the quantum realm in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
And I'm the spot, Travis.
Alliance,
Nice
assemble.
symbol.
That's a name. That's a name.
He's getting his due in Across the Spider-Verse. Potentially. We haven't seen anything yet.
There we go. We've got volume 144, and listeners, you are not hearing Brent's, the friendly neighborhood Brent's voice. You are hearing Mr. Travis Hines, who is stepping in because Brent is a little under the weather. So we are sending him good vibes, and hopefully he's going to start getting better soon. But I appreciate Travis, he's stepping in and subbing in tonight.
I'm glad Brent asked me. I couldn't be more excited to join you, Chris. I hope Brent feels better quickly. But I'm excited to talk about some Marvel tonight because, as you know, even though I host a DC podcast, I also host an animated podcast, which is going to do X-Men the animated series in the new year. So giddy up for Marvel.
There you go. It's all Marvel all the time, right?
As my mug would suggest.
Yes, exactly. So, but how's your week been? You're still off from school, so you're enjoying the holiday still?
Yeah, I have until the 4th. I think I go back. I've been enjoying it. I was visiting the in-laws. That was nice. My parents are 5 or 6 states away, I guess, in American terms. So I couldn't see them. This is the second year in a row. That kind of sucked. But I still enjoyed it. Got some cool comics today, too. A couple
Nice.
of Secret War titles. So I'm trying to collect the whole collection of that. So it's been a fun Christmas. I can't wait to get back, though. Just have one semester left, and then I'm finished.
There you go. No more school for Travis.
No more school for Travis.
Yeah, it's been a nice, had a good Christmas day with the kids. I've had a couple days off of work. I've got this last couple of days going into work, but still without students. So I'm getting it's nice having a quiet building and getting some work done that, no distractions, which is good.
It's really nice to recharge over the new year too. Just really get you in a good mind space going forward to start off.
Yep, we're wrapping up the comic book challenge. I've got one more book of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to read to wrap up my read through of that. And I don't know if I'm going to hit 2,000 for the comic book challenge. I may come close, but it's been fun. So plug for that. We'll be recording a walk through the multiverse, talking about that with Joe and Clay, and announcing the winner of the comic book challenge giveaway.
Yeah, I was rather impressed seeing the thread, you adding to it throughout the
Mm-hmm.
year. I read some comics. I knew I was not going to be able to keep up with the amount there, so I did not compete in the challenge. But it was so cool seeing all of you guys, including Charlie, a listener as
Mm-hmm.
well. And honestly, getting some recommendations from some of your guys' threads there
Yeah.
on runs. I added to a little notepad note list I have, and yeah, so I'm excited to listen to that podcast when it comes out, just to get even more some stuff might have passed me. So I'm really excited to listen to you guys break down the comics you read this year.
Yep. So we will be recording that. I think we're recording that on Sunday afternoon. So it'll drop whenever the next episode of Walk Through the Multiverse drops. So, but speaking of the network, let's get these network plugs out of the way. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 8 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out our show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance on Twitter at GUA Pod Network so you know when all the shows are dropping. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. A $1 tier is a tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job? And then we've got our $5 tier with our ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon-exclusive shows, including our show, We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU Rewatch. Episode 12 dropped this Monday. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, as well as our re-review of the rest of the I Am Groot series at that point. So hopefully, patrons, again, we want to thank you. We cannot do this without your support. We've also got you on DC Alliance with Joe doing your DC through the years rewatch. We've got Katie with her husband looking at the canon, non-canon comic books of Star Wars. Joe's Multiverse Minutes. Your top fives. Are the top fives coming back?
Top fives are coming back in the new year, Chris, with 2 podcasts, school, and doing the DC films through the year with Joe. We were supposed to do a double bill, Superman 3 and Supergirl. and I messed up and completely forgot about even watching Supergirl. I had so much stuff going on.
Don't worry. So
So
did the rest of the world.
Joe was completely understanding and also said, I'm kind of glad you haven't watched it yet. So, the longer you have to go without watching it, the better for yourself. So it'll be a fun conversation. But our last one was Superman 3. So check that one out. It's good to go through the old films
You mean
because,
you mean
we don't
you
have
mean Peanuts with Pryor?
we don't, we don't have a long standing canon that we can review yet. Maybe, hopefully soon.
maybe at that point. But yeah, we've also got for the first time with Clay looking at the Game of Thrones. So again, patrons, hope you're enjoying all this great content. But if you are not a patron of the Geek Ultimate Alliance, go to www.patreon.com/GUA network and become part of our Patreon. And if you can't join us on Patreon, totally understand. If you want to take 30 to 90 seconds and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, whatever podcatcher choice may be, we greatly appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with immaculate packaging, excellent customer service, ships around the world, all different kind of options. New pre-orders have dropped, including some first-time Omnis, including X-Men 2099 for the first time ever coming into Omni format, Spider-Man Brand New Day Volume 1, first time in Omni format, X-Factor by Peter David has gotten to a Volume 3, one more volume to finish out his illustrious run on that title. Secret Warriors coming back into print as well. So if you would like to go to Organic Price Books, use that code MARVELGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. Use it an unlimited amount of times. And we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. And want to give one quick plug to a good friend of mine, friend of the channel, Omar from Near Mint Condition. He had put a call out for all any kind of YouTube creators to give him and put out there. He's going to assemble a video of the YouTube our best reads of 2022, and I was gracious enough to be asked to be included in that. And so I'm towards the end of it, but it's a good, if you're watching, it's about 90 minutes, but content creators from around the world putting forth their favorite reads. So I want to thank Omar. And if you are not a subscriber to Near Mint Condition, go to YouTube, go to Near Mint Condition, go to videos, and you will find YouTube best reads. Excellent channel, excellent guy. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick plug to that. All right. So let us get into. We have some rumors tonight. Nothing big in the sense of main topic, but a lot of rumors to close out our 2022 for the show. So we're gonna, if you're looking at the live background, and we're gonna start off with Captain America 4. So last few weeks we have gotten some scoopers going into kind of some interesting things that they're hearing, they're either in the know about or being told about Captain America 4 New World Order. So according to noted insider Daniel RPK, Captain America 4 is about an international conflict over a new metal called adamantium. The fictional metal may sound familiar to us, as in the comics, it is the element that coats Wolverine's bones and iconic claws. RPK reported that the metal will be discovered on an island of Tiamat. This is the calcified celestial seen in the final act of the 2020 of last year's Eternals. The island will be key to the plot of the film, with every country wanting a piece of that new metal. So, it's going to be, and according to the Twitter scooper, Can We Get Some Toast? She is putting out, also adding to that the unclaimed land could be more valuable than vibranium. Because again, as we saw in Wakanda Forever, we already saw the hints in the beginnings of this trying to get the world trying to get their hands on vibranium. So obviously, if they can't get it in this way, this is another metal that can stand against it. So what do you think about this, Travis, that we are, even though we've got mutants already being introduced in the MCU little by little, now we're getting forth the big A word that leads to this guy right here, and that would be Wolverine. So what do you think about this?
I actually think this is a pretty creative idea to introduce the adamantium. I love using the celestial because we all thought I heard, well, not we all thought, but I did see a lot of complaints. I won't say we, but how come they're not addressing the celestial, this big giant celestial that was killed? How come no one has been speaking about it? And this makes it part of the plot of this film, and I think it's a great idea. And like you said, we've already gotten some little nuggets of mutants, and nothing extreme yet, but I really think that this could be key. We could get a throwaway line or two of somebody already getting in and getting some of it, and that's how they know. And the people that got in and got some of it are the people that create Wolverine. So maybe
Mhm.
you get a little throwaway like that that leads you just down the road further. That'll pay off. So I think it's a cool way to do it. And honestly, vibranium. First of all, after what happened in Wakanda Forever, I don't think trying to get vibranium from the Wakandans is a smart strategy for any country. They were just shamed at United Nations. So this seems like a smarter place to put all your resources. So I could see that's why so many countries are going after this. So it'll be really interesting to see who goes after this, what villains, if we see multiple villains going after this. I'm all in for this idea though.
Yeah, it was just interesting, like, that again we're seeing, I did a Fact or Fiction a week or so ago saying, we're not going to see any kind of mention of the Eternals till Phase 6. This is kind of one of those, okay, we're finally seeing possibly seeing on screen a sort of acknowledgement of what happened at the end of Eternals. I was more referencing like the future of the Eternals, what's going to happen. Are they even going to know where this came from, how this happened, and things like that? But it'll be interesting to see that a byproduct of the Celestial being down, like coded in this, they just basically chipping away at the
Will
Celestial at
Harrison.
that point. Yeah, exactly. How that's going to look, and just like you said, the only time we've ever seen it uh, acknowledged was She-Hulk in that little like online blog. So
Yeah, but that, like I said, it's something that has to be addressed where you're doing this greater continuity that you've been doing in the MCU. You can't just have this giant celestial in and nobody ever do anything with it. So it's a smart idea, and I'm like I said, I don't know who's going to be going after the adamantium, uh, but it plays the reason that that might be even the place they had the final showdown is on that
mhm.
celestial. That could be part of the epic final battle scene.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what they do. Again, we know from the comics, this is what lines Wolverine's body skeleton at that point. In the comics, it's not vibranium, it's adamantium. That is the what the shield is made of in the comics. So is he going to get a new shield? Is like the question in the MCU, what is more powerful? What is stronger, adamantium or vibranium? Both as we've both seen, at least in the MCU as well, they're both extraterrestrial, elements, in
Yeah.
the sense of metals. So it'd be very interesting to see that. Again, if they're trying to bring in eventually, when we bring in the X-Men, Wolverine is going to be a part of it. Is this how we're going to get our beginnings of the sense of the government using adamantium in order to, obviously weaponize it. In this case, the Weapon X program, bringing in James Howlett, aka Wolverine, into this. At that point, the possibilities are going to be very endless with this. It's going to be interesting. If this ends up being true, which some of the scoopers who are putting this out there do have decent track records. It's time. It is a big statement to put this out there for it not to kind of end up being true. And it'll be, again, it's going to be interesting to see how this factors into the plot of New World Order, because there's a lot of stuff, as we'll go into our next story, a lot of stuff with this movie already that makes it a quote unquote very crowded film to see for Sam's first big outing post Falcon and the Winter Soldier as Captain America.
Yeah, there's a worry there with the villains. And one last thing I'll say about Adamantium is I'm really interested to see where they establish it on the power level for the MCU because we
Mm-hmm.
really haven't had it yet. I really can't wait to see it go up against vibranium, perhaps, or even stronger thing, like not stronger things, but other metals. And I just want to show and establish how strong that metal is,
Mm-hmm.
because I just enjoy that stuff where you have power levels Thor and Captain Marvel up in the same area, like that kind of stuff. when you see it and when they establish it well, that stuff is really interesting to me, and I'm interested to see where they go with this. Like, are they going to make adamantium weapons? Can they even do that? Because I know there's some times where you have to have it heated to a certain
Correct.
temperature to use it. So will they change that up? I don't know. Where will they use it like vibranium is being used? There's a few questions I have because obviously the MCU may put a spin on things. So yeah, just when you hear
Always
adamantium,
seems
you
to.
instantly think Wolverine.
Yeah. All right. So our next story, it's tangentially related to Captain America 4, involving this character right here. So MCU rumor reveals another villain project is in the works at Marvel Studios. So also according to Daniel RPK, Marvel Studios is developing a Sentry solo project. Sentry is known as a Superman-like figure in the comics who got his powers from a serum connected to the same one that created Steve Rogers' Captain America. Generally, when he is remembered by the public, worldwide memory wipes occur here and there for the classic convoluted for convoluted comic book reasons. He's a hero. However, he has a dark side, one that has a physical manifestation and is called the Void. The Void's power levels are off the charts and can often be considered a threat to humanity as a whole. In November, rumors came out that claimed the MCU's Thunderbolts would be facing off against an antagonist Sentry in their upcoming movie, a character who is a conflicted and power villain akin to the evil Superman. This would mean that the rumored project would be a direct spin-off of 2024's big Thunderbolts movie. So it's very interesting. We kind of hinted around it in Captain America 4. We're hearing rumors of like right now 4 villain slash antagonist, one of which being President Thunderbolt Ross, played by Harrison Ford. We've got the leader. We've now here we got Val out there, and then we've got a fourth. Well, really Val's out there, but I think there's like 4 or 5 ones. One of which is rumored to be cast as Jessica Chastain as a villain. As this movie is what comes before the Thunderbolts, we could be seeing the hints of the development and the creation of the Sentry there. Now, they're right. The Sentry is not a household name by any means. It was brought back during Brian Michael Bendis' run of New Avengers. I'm just trying to look back at
You're like, where do I have this?
my collection. Really, where is it? Right there, Sentry. Yeah. And it's a very interesting character that people either like him or think like it's neither not there. So, but they're right in the sense of the character of Sentry deals with basically his own, one could say his own version of DID at that point, dissociative disorder, and so when trying to realize his past, like he's forgotten his past, but then in order to keep himself at bay, he does have this alternate thing called the Void that really is basically him, that he's created a villain within his own mind that takes shape in manifestation. So what do you think about this idea of it looks like a special presentation being built in order to lead to the Thunderbolts? What do you think about that?
I'm interested to see special presentation because I've enjoyed both of the ones that we've gotten so far. But honestly, I think he might be a little OP for me for the Thunderbolts, especially because I had no prior experience to the Sentry. I didn't see any animation. I haven't read any comics with him in it, Marvel side yet. But honestly, they can spin it. They have to nerf it a little bit, in my opinion, because I did some research, just seeing, and some of the characters he's gone toe to toe with, like he slapped Thor around like he was nothing, went toe
Oh
to
yeah.
toe with an enraged Hulk. So with the Thunderbolts crew that we know right now, I don't know how they could go up against the power level that he's shown in the comics. So I would think they would have to nerf him a little bit. But I would be interested to see, like you said, the uh, different personality of the Void, because like it would be interesting to see how he transformed that way. I don't think they go the Moon Knight route with it, so it'd be interesting to see how he would go from normal hero to the Void. That would be really cool to see if maybe you'd see that in the special presentation that lead, like you said, lead you into Thunderbolts. But I don't know how they're going to go up against the power level that he has in the comics anyway.
Yeah, the run I would recommend is kind of reintroducing it is Jenkins and Jay Lee. They did it was under the Marvel Knights label. I'm like kind of looking at it right now. But yeah, Paul Jenkins, and on the back of it, it kind of sets up the idea. Your name is Bob Reynolds. You prefer cartoons over CNN. You drink too much. You're 30 pounds overweight. You're afraid of heights. You hate crowds, and your wife blames you for your dog's moodiness. And you know you were once a superhero. You were the Sentry. But then something terrible happened. Something that threatened all life on Earth. Something that caused your best friend, Mr. Fantastic, to betray you. Now it's happening again, and the Sentry must return. But at what cost? So being forced to, in this case, like Bob Reynolds knew he was a superhero, but fears to go back to that because in order to prevent the Void. So that's something interesting. So again, one of these things that if they're going to go down that route, he's been a character that's existed in the quote unquote MCU. So where has he been? Where is there no acknowledgement from him? Did they do a mind wipe? Did things change? So it's going to be very interesting. Again, it is not a household name character when it comes to that. But as rumors are pointing out, that the Sentry could be on the team, on the Thunderbolts team, and then lose control, and then they become having to stop and take down the Sentry.
Red Hulk would have to be key to stopping that. I can't see another way.
Maybe we'll have to see on that one, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. That's an interesting thing to pull. We've heard the Sentry for a while, but it's going to be interesting to see now that rumors are now pointing to Sentry moving into the Thunderbolts movie. So, all right, we're going to take our first ad break for the evening. So, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud. So, give it a 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. So, next story, as we head back to Wakanda Forever. So, Ryan Coogler was giving an interview with, trying to see who was, interview with the New York Times. And so, they asked him about, like, what was the original plan for Wakanda Forever, if you'd be willing to talk about it before Chadwick's death. And he said, he said, what are you going to do about the blip? That happened when he got blipped out in Infinity War and came back at Endgame. So basically 5 years had passed. He said that was a challenge. It was obviously nothing like what we made. It was going to be a father-son story from the perspective of a father, because the first movie had been a father-son story from the perspective of the sons. In the script, T'Challa was a dad who had this forced 5-year absence from his son's life. The first scene was an animated sequence. You hear Nakia, played by Lupita Nyong'o, talking to Toussaint, the couple's child introduced in Wakanda Forever in the post-credits sequence. She says, "Tell me what you know about your father." He said, mirroring the first film, it would have opened with a similar animated sequence of Nakia telling her son about his father, the Black Panther. You realize that he doesn't know his dad was the Black Panther. He's never met him, and Nakia is remarried to a Haitian man. Then we cut to reality, and it's the night that everybody comes back from the blip. You see T'Challa meet the kid for the first time. Then it cuts ahead 3 years, and he's essentially co-parenting. We had some crazy scenes in there for Chadwick. Our code name for the movie was Summer Break, and the movie was about a summer that the kid spends with his dad. For his 8th birthday, they do a ritual where they go out into the bush and have to live off the land. But something happens, and T'Challa has to go to save the world with his son on his hip. That was the movie. So, it's also been confirmed that by Coogler that the plot would have still involved Namor, meaning that T'Challa's conflict with the Talokan ruler would have been told from the son's perspective. So that is a really fascinating stuff, and you don't hear that too often, particularly in these stuff when directors have to jettison a thing. But I mean, I I really appreciate Ryan Coogler being upfront with what his plan was and kind of being as detailed as it was been. But man, that would have been obviously a very different film from what he had to put forward. But man, we would have seen a lot more of his son in this movie, and that would have been very interesting kind of see this. What do you think about this?
I thought that would have been so cool to see as a movie, even though I've really enjoyed Wakanda Forever. If you stick around for the post-credits scene, you may hear how much I enjoyed it. But I would have loved to see this, Chris. This would have been awesome seeing father and son. I'm not mistaken, we've never seen that before in the MCU, right? Father
What?
son duo taking like fighting together and
Yeah, not in the MCU yet.
no, so I thought that would be so cool, and just to see if the son had a Black Panther type suit at the end, and him and his father, like that would have been unreal. So, but like I said, I really enjoyed that scene. That end credit scene or mid credit scene got me so emotionally in the
Hmm.
Wakanda Forever film. I'm so glad with what we got, but it's always what might have been. Like you said, I was surprised that Coogler was so open, but he did mention on another interview that he sent Chadwick that script, very excited and wanted to talk to him. And he said
Hmm.
Chadwick didn't really get back to him, and that's when he really got an inkling like that something was up, and that was towards the end there. So
Yeah.
it it's nice to see. Just like I said, is it even the animated stuff that would have been so cool just to see the progression and finally somebody taking on like what happened while they were gone and come back, like the repercussions of that. That hasn't been handled that much in the MCU, as much as I would have liked for it to be handled so far. Anyway,
Yeah, again, both Black Panther movies have been centered very much around family and what it means in different aspects and things like
hashtag.
that. Hashtag family, yes. And so it was very interesting, kind of, this just came out today. Wakanda Forever set a new box office mark, and it is the top female-led superhero movie of all time domestically. It has overtaken Captain Marvel. It has, as of this article that was put out today, it stands at $429 million, and Captain Marvel stood at $426 million. Wonder Woman is these are all domestically $412 million, and
Dang.
Black Widow 183, and then Harley Quinn and Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey, Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, stands at 84 million.
Oh God, that title.
Outstanding. But that's a huge mark at that point. Again, we saw what that. I said it at the first trailer. I said this is going to be a female-led movie. That's all they were showcasing at that point, and it showed how well. It wasn't going to. Again, it doesn't have to beat the first one, but it presented a very different story, and it's definitely one that had a lot of emotions doing done it. But again, they were given an impossible task and they rose to it. This script would have been very interesting too to see, kind of like you said, a father son movie told from the perspective of the son. That's a very interesting when you look at the lead. It's supposed to be, Chadwick Boseman. It's like, oh, really? This story is going to center on from the kid's eyes. That would have been very interesting to see.
Yeah, it probably would have been like a first for the MCU, and I think that you have to commend Coogler, especially to rework this the way that he did, because this, like I said, this sounds amazing, and to get to that point that he got to, where he finished that script, and then having to rework it and doing such a great job, and like you said before about it being female led, not only female led, female supported,
Hmm.
every female character in the if you're watching on YouTube, under myself and Chris here, really had a chance to shine, and it was just a tour de force of acting. So I'm so happy with what we got. It was terribly unfortunate circumstances to land us at that point, but I like you said, they should be commended for the job that they did.
Exactly. All right, and our final story tonight is Marvel Studios reportedly wants one sequel to release before Avengers King Dynasty. So according to Murphy's Multiverse, Charles Murphy's site, Marvel Studios was planning for and could still be planning for Shang-Chi 2 to release before Avengers The Kang Dynasty arrives in May of 2025. The entitled movie release date left in the Multiverse Saga fall on July 25th and November 7th, 2025, as well as February 12th, 2026. So after the last shift to the release calendar, Disney has no spare release dates to give before Avengers 5. So again, this right now, at least publicly, they don't have any. So they look like they wanted Shang-Chi to do this. Now, however, the latest rumors indicate that Sony Pictures is eyeing Spider-Man 4 to release July 12th, 2025. This could force Disney to push its July 25th, 2025 date back several weeks in order to create a larger gap between MCU releases. And, they're going to coordinate on that one, so that's not going to be a surprise. As of now, both Shang-Chi 2 and Avengers The Kang Dynasty are set to be directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. So hearing the two flicks may be somewhat connected should not come as a huge surprise. That would have to mean, and we talked about this in the chat, Travis Snell brought out the point like this, if that's going to happen, then there is going to be probably another shift happening. And if he is going to direct Shang-Chi 2, that's going to come out, and he's directing Kang Dynasty, there needs to be a bigger gap between this in the sense of it'll allow him that time. That is going to be a very it's a big tall order. Not saying all the Russo brothers did it with Infinity War. That's true, but still, it's no different. It's doing back-to-back movies like that, especially shifting focus and directing for Shang-Chi is going to be very different from directing, the Kang Dynasty. So that definitely could very much be, especially as we start entering into, as we march towards Ant-Man and the Quantumania. This is when we're really getting into the multiverse saga. Phase 4 has been what Phase 4 is, but that is going to be interesting if Shang-Chi is going to be the last film to set up the last two films of the multiverse saga.
I'm with you on giving them time. If you need to push back the two Avengers films, because these are the next Avenger films after the Infinity War and Endgame massive success, critically, financially, merchandisingly, every way lead that you can think of. I would push it back. I loved the first Shang-Chi, and I really think that you could, uh, even when you say that, possibly you get an end credit scene in Ant-Man that could lead you this way. Like maybe the council that you got the end credit scene in Shang-Chi, you get Ant-Man telling them about Kang, and then sending him off, and maybe that's what connects to the film and his film. I don't know, to his film and the another Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. I don't know, but like you said, this is a massive undertaking for a director to have to do. So if you need to give him extra time, we'll all survive if we have to wait an extra few months to push back an Avengers film.
Yeah, especially again how they set up like at the post-credit scene with Shang-Chi making whatever signal is coming across, and as we're seeing, you look at the trailer, the kind of rings around Chronopolis, even though they haven't named it, I'm calling it now. That's Chronopolis. That
Yeah.
very similar to that. Could the signal be making a signal to Kang? It's signaling something. It's signaling stuff out there. So, what better way than to bring in Shang-Chi, to kind of put in saying, okay, this is where we're going to lead it towards. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of threat is it going to be. A Kang level threat is going to be something different. How is it going to connect and lead into, that the next time? Because again, Shang-Chi it was an outstanding movie. Is an outstanding movie. I think it would be very remiss for us to go the rest of the phases without and waiting until basically the Kang Dynasty Shang-Chi again.
It's easier to make that kind of film too, Chris, compared to some of the other more heavy CGI films. Like his action and stuff like that. He learns the stunts. He's very good at that already.
Mhm.
So that kind of stuff, that really, honestly, when you look at it now with the COVID crunch with numbers for films, that kind of stuff doesn't to go unnoticed when you're Marvel and Disney making films, being like, we can cut some of our costs here. With this, it's not so much CGI effects. This is more hand-to-hand combat. That's one of the things I loved about his film. was that stuff that you enjoyed. Even though even the final scene with the rings, a lot of it is still hand to hand combat and a dance that is very. It does is not nearly as bad as, like, let's say Hulk is fighting five
Yeah.
different monsters. It's not nearly that cost like costly. So yeah, I really think this could fit in here somewhere before the Avengers films.
Yeah, it'll be, again, it's going to be very interesting to kind of see if this does pan out. Again, we don't have Shang-Chi officially on the docket. We have very few films. I think the only projects that we have confirmed for Phase 6, per that graphic that Kevin Feige put out at SDCC, is Fantastic Four, and then the Kang Dynasty, and then Secret Wars. That's it. That's all we have official for Phase 6.
Yeah, that Spider-Man that the Multiverse had almost made me giddy when I scrolled down past that. I was like, yes,
I, I
please get together for Spider-Man 4. It needs to happen. Every Spider-Man film was a hit. Like, keep
I
going,
I
Tom.
will be very surprised if we make it through Phase 6 without Spider-Man 4. I'm just it's Sony, the heads up at Sony. So it's going to happen. We're just not ready to talk about it yet. Again, I I think if I'll be one of those things will be very surprised if we don't hear anything next year about Spider-Man 4. I think something's going to be announced next year.
Sony just signed him to a contract, let Kevin Feige put him in the places that he needs to put him, and please don't ruin our Daredevil Spider-Man team up versus Kingpin. Just sit back and watch the money roll in. Just don't do Sony things, please.
Well, I mean, I said it last week when we did the Hypno, the Hypno villain that Donald Glover's doing. Sony's doing everything but Spider-Man outside of Madam Web. Again, as we always say on the show, Madam Web is the blueprint. At that point,
Keep it up.
it that is really the only true, Spider-Man thing. People say, "What about Venom 3?" We don't have that outside of that one post-credit scene, so we don't really have that officially. Like, Madam Web is directly dealing with Parker, the Parker
Yes.
legacy at that point in the beginnings of Peter Parker. So that one, I can say that's the only thing Sony is doing officially Spider related.
And it's Sony, like the last film Sony produced. Sorry if I'm a bit hesitant on even thinking they'll do anything remotely in the realm of Spider-Man for this film. Maybe they'll skirt the whole thing just because it's Sony. I'm very hesitant. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the Venom films, and yeah, well, I'll hold my thoughts on Morbius for a little bit.
Well, so, but yeah, we will see as we get through this. But that is our last news story. So we're going to take our last ad break before we get into Factor Fictions for this weekend. Travis has got some 3 Factor Fictions to put out there into the ether for this week. So again, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They could be a bit loud. Give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back. So before we get to your Factor Fictions for this week, let me pull up the ones from last week from Mr. Travis Snell. Number 1, we will see Anthony Hopkins appear as Odin in Loki Season 2. 46% said fact, 54% said fiction. Travis, what do you think of that one?
I said fiction.
You said fiction. Number 2, in Thunderbolts, at least 2 members of the team will die. 59% said fact, 41% said fiction.
I said fact, and this was before the Sentry stuff. So if he's the villain, yeah, 120% fact.
Yeah. And the last one, Deadpool 3 will purposely leave the door open for more Hugh Jackman MCU appearances. 74% said fact, 26% said fiction.
I'm shocked Mr. Snell put that one in there. I said fact as well.
He's only got, as he just recently posted today, he's only got, as he said, 17 more sleeps for his main acting gig on Broadway as the Music Man. So then he's full-time Deadpool 3.
Snell, we watch his itinerary and everything.
Yep. So, all right. So what are your Factor Fictions for us this week?
Okay, Chris, I crunched the numbers, thought of some, realized some of them were some that were already used. So got back to work even more and came up with I thought were three really good ones. Sony and Marvel will produce an animated series with a character from Across the Spider-Verse.
So they'll do an animated spinoff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll say fact on that one. I think after you get beyond the Spider Verse at that point, the part 3 of this, I think it's very much depending on where our characters are left at that point. Gwen is the thing. I would also love my man Miguel O'Hara getting Spider-Man 29 at that point. I mean, you can really go the gamut at that one, but I say I'm a hard fact on that one.
I wanted to say this one, but I think it was you already used this. Miles Morales will be introduced in the next Spider-Man film. I'm pretty sure that was already used. I really wanted to, but Power Pack will appear in the MCU before the end of Phase 7.
God, Power Pack.
I'm watching the TV movie. It's gonna happen.
Power Pack at that point. I I will say this. I will put it out there that if somehow Power Pack gets introduced before Young Avengers Last Champions, I will be shaking my head. I
Young
will
Avengers
literally
will
be
go up
shaking my
against
head
the
and just
Power
saying,
Pack.
yeah, no, I'm going to go fiction on that. I think that is, do I think Power Pack's going to happen? I think there is a chance for Power Pack to happen. But at this point, I don't see, even after you said by phase 7?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, that's a solid no at that point. If I can't get my Young Avengers, I will rue that
Right.
day. I will it not to happen at that point. But again, I've Power Packed. I'm a blind spot for what I have read of it. It's like meh. It just there's more there for Champions Young Avengers, and there's right now nothing for Power Pack being set up in the MCU right now.
Well, I think they could be. You could spin them off as a villain group for the Young Avengers to go up
No,
against.
no, no, don't do that.
Chris,
What
I
do you
don't like
what do
that.
you think?
I would like it, but I'm going to say fiction on that as well.
All right. Yeah, someone's gonna will this to be like, oh, it's gonna be fact. We're gonna get the results back, and I'm gonna just look at all that voting it, and you're just gonna be spite me and just troll it at that point. Like instead of review bombing it, fact or fiction bomb it.
You'll get 95% no and 5% yes, and then whenever Power Pack gets introduced, that 5% yes will already have it saved and ready to throw back.
They're gonna get. It's like I'll tell you what. If you remember back at the beginnings of this show, when we put out like Spider Woman stuff, like there is a conglomerate of Spider Woman fans, and God love you at that point. Yeah, Spider Woman's a great character at that point, but whenever we had either a fact or fiction or something like that, oh my gosh, it was like 300, 400 votes at that point. That don't mess with the Spider Woman fans at that point. We weren't messing with it. They were more supporting it. We were just like in shock that
They were like,
they
"This is happening. We're putting it right here."
yes. So I'm probably gonna test the waters, kick the hornet's nest of the Power Pack fans, but sorry, not one of them.
Hashtag Power Pack sucks. Chris like,
No, no, no. I did not say that. That is you. I'm putting that out there.
It's yet to be determined for me. I'm going to read their first issue sometime tonight, probably.
Godspeed, my friend. Godspeed.
Yeah, I know. Oh man,
All right, number 3.
that was 3.
You're right. That was 3. You're right. Oh yeah, Power Pack. Yeah, you're right.
No, sorry, it wasn't 3. I didn't. Did I say that? I told the other one to you before we went on. That's why.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah.
Doctor Doom will appear in Secret Wars.
Doctor Doom will appear in Secret Wars. If since rumors are saying that probably we're not getting Doctor Doom as our main antagonist in Fantastic Four, I will say fiction on that to believe the rumors. That not saying we're not going to introduce Victor Von Doom, but because he's not going to have a huge role in the first movie, that kind of makes probably it not happening. So I'm going to go fiction.
Thought it was going to be fact just because you could have Kang being a descendant of Doctor Doom, and you show just a little brief picture of him, not even anything outside of you get the mask. You don't have to see the actor portraying him. So I think there's a chance. So that's why I'm saying fact.
Yeah, but if they're going to go with those comic book origins, he's a descendant of Reed Richards.
I know. I'm just like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. So
Oh
you're
yeah.
saying there's a chance, and I'll go
Oh yeah, there's
fast
always a
immediately.
chance. There could be a 0.0000001 chance. You have your chance, my friend. You can have your, I'll give you a free cup of the coffee in the break room for if you get that right.
Yes. Make it tea,
Snell
please. Make it
and
tea.
Clay have their pizza challenges. I have my free cup of coffee in the break room challenge.
I'll just hope that wherever the free cup is for, they honor it and give me tea.
Yeah, we don't do that at our work. You make your own tea.
Sugar.
All right. Well, I will post those on New Year's Day. Check that out in the afternoon. Let your voices be heard. Power Pack fans, let your voices be heard on that one. Yes, go Power Packed at that point. So, all right. We did not have any listener. Brent put out the call for questions. We did not have any listeners submit questions, and we're going to pause Comic Book Club this week since Brent is not here. So we will have our penultimate issue of Marvel Zombies put out next week. And also, Brent and I have made our selection for the listener vote for Comic Book Club. I'm not going to give you the choices, but I will give you what the theme is. I will at least give you tantalizing ideas of what the choices are going to be. But the theme is Spider-Man arcs.
Can I tell you the number that is the one that I want you to do? Just the number, not the name or anything. Just like
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Third one. I want you to do the third one.
Want me to do the third one? Okay, yeah, because I forgot I put it in the show notes for tonight. Didn't. Okay, gotcha. Yep. I
hold all the secrets, Marvel.
Yes, you do. So we have some very good choices. In my opinion, we've got, the tough thing about like some of the Spider-Man arcs is a lot of some of the really good ones are very short. Yeah. And that's not necessarily saying we're opposed to it, but we want to carry this on for a little bit so we can kind of enjoy it. So some of these, we got some classic ones, we got some recent ones, we even got some alternative universe ones as well. So we will put those out there next week. Hopefully Brent will be feeling better, and we will talk about what those choices will be that you, the listeners, will let us know what you want us to do at that point. So all right. Well, it's a short episode this week to close out 2022, but you know what? Short, pithy, we got some good news, new rumor stories out there. So again, Travis, thank you so much for joining me this week and subbing in for Brent. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. It was fun. Like you said, it was only rumors. It wasn't as content heavy as last time I joined you for She-Hulk. Yep. But it still, and the rumors that we had about the Deadpool nonetheless, but I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I love the MCU and the way they're going. I'm really excited for the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars when we get to that point, and now we're just building to that. So yeah, fun times in the MCU, and besides a film that I watched today.
You saw a movie, just like I saw a movie this week. I
saw
a movie.
Pretty much, I think.
All right. Well, tell people how they can follow you and plug your lovely shows on the network.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. Just drop me a line. We can chat about pretty much anything. I also host 2 shows on the GUA Podcast Network, DC Alliance, where we go through everything and anything DC. Fun times with James Gunn leading the ship now. Thank you, Marvel, for giving us that guy. And also the Animation Nation podcast, where we look at animation across a multitude of fandoms. In the new year, we're doing X-Men the Animated Series. I have several guests lined up, including yourself, to talk about some great story arcs, and I can't wait. It's just basically excitement until we get the revival.
Yes, that's how we get to that at that point. So yes, you can follow myself on Twitter at Chris Balgam, my other show, World's Finest True Believers, which dropped a new episode this week with my good friend Day from his lovely YouTube show, and looking at his all-time favorite comic book arc, Return of the Monster from Incredible Hulk. So definitely want to thank Day for coming onto the show for the first time. I know I look forward to having him back. You can follow this show on Twitter at Marvel A Podcast. You can follow Brent on Twitter at BrentTechPrime. And you can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, ask questions for us to answer on the show. Fact or Fictions. Continue to rate and review the Marvel Alliance solo feed, GUA Network feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, whatever platform of choice may be. We want to thank you all for listening. Thank you, all listeners, joining in the chat. And stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. On to 2023.
See you next year.
All right. Post credits for this week as we close out 2022. We did this last year, so even though Brenda's not here, we will continue the tradition at that point, looking at 2022's our rankings of the comic book movies that premiered in 2022. And this will also include the special presentations that were on Disney Plus. Even though not theatrical, we do have a definition per the Academy that what defines a quote-unquote movie, and it is, I believe, over 40 or 45 minutes, which both of those special presentations runtimes do, so therefore qualifies as movies. So,
I'm 100% accepting of that verdict.
All right, so we're going to go from, there were 9 comic book movies at that point, so we will go with number 9. What is your number 9?
Morbius. I can't even believe that I watched that the first time. It was for Marvel Alliance review. God, it was so bad.
I'm still laughing at where this ranks for our downloaded episodes for the GUA at that point. In the sense of shock, outright shock.
Defies logic.
It does defy logic. We won't give you total behind the scenes, but it is just like, man, y'all love Morbin time at that point. You all
listen to us suffer, to be honest with you. Talk about our suffering.
Yeah, so yes, Morbius is also my number 9. Again, it is a okay movie. It is fine. There are many problems with it. It very much became a meme of itself, but it is not one that I will be looking forward to own necessarily, unless it's probably on a deep, deep discount at that point, in that I'm really liking wasting money. Yeah, it is my number 9. So, all right.
One other fun fact about Morbius, it has the rare distinction of being a double failure because they somehow convinced the masses, the mean people, somehow convinced them to drop it in theaters again. And nobody went to see it a second time.
I just don't buy that is that the Twitter community convinced them to do it. I
would hope that is more than they came up with the brilliant idea of re-releasing this hit of a film.
Yeah, I still have trouble believing that, but whatever. You're number 8.
DC League of Super Pets. I thought that this was just okay. I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. I'm not a fan of getting all kinds of big time actors to do the voice work. I'd rather have voice actors that have gone through different things, like different film, different TV shows to do these roles. So I was not a fan of a lot of the voices in DC League of Super Pets, and it just felt like Rock flexing for most of this.
Yep. So I forgot to do Brent's number 9. Brent's number 9 is also Morbius, and he agrees with us as well. Black Adam is mine and his number 8 at that point. It's a popcorn movie. It's an outright popcorn movie. Was I excited to see the JSA on screen for the first time? Yep. It was, Pierce Brosnan stole the show when it came to Dr. Fate. It was entertaining. It is unfortunate how the post-credit scene has become basically a swing and a miss in the sense of the future of the DCU. But again, we still had a moment that none of us thought we'd ever get. So I'm going to treasure at least that, and one more time with Mr. Henry Cavill being Superman. So yeah, so it looks like cross board number 8.
Number 7 for me.
Number 7 for you.
Black Adam. And
never mind. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to jump in while you said Black Adam for you guys, and 7's next for me. So yeah, Black Adam, everything you said, I couldn't agree more with. Dr. Fate was the best thing for me in that film. But yeah, it was just a bit of a meh film. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a movie.
Yeah. Good description.
Number 7 for me is Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor: Love and Thunder, as I talked about last week, it is my last ranked for Phase 4. Upon rewatch, it went lower for me, and it is one movie that I'll revisit. There are moments that I'll enjoy, like, again, as I said last week, Jane Foster being introduced, that was a great thing, but I think it was just... Taika took a good thing and just double, triple, quadruple downed what he really knocked it out of the park in my opinion with Ragnarok. But yeah, so that's my number 7. Brent's 7th is DC League of Super Pets.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yep. All right, your number 6.
My number 6 is a film that I watched today. Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah, it was not as good as I hoped. You hit the nail on the coffin. I think Taika doubled, tripled, quadrupled down too much on the slapstick humor. The goats, I was not a fan of the goats. I did not think that was funny.
I'm the only one that liked it.
I did not enjoy.
I'm not gonna lie. Yes, did he overdo it? But every time it happened on screen, I'm sorry. I laugh.
Those work with me sometimes as well, so I can't fault them for trying that. But I just feel like with Ragnarok, they had the whole Odin dying seriousness to kind of keep this level down.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite parts of Thor: Love and Thunder were Jane's parts in this film, so it kind of makes sense as to why with Ragnarok as well. So yeah, it probably won't rewatch it anytime soon, and I'll have to rewatch the second one again. I'm pretty sure this might still be above the second Thor for me, but it's definitely not. I don't enjoy it as much as the third or the first Thor films.
Gotcha. Brent's is also Thor: Love and Thunder. His number 6 is as well. My number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Just a delight, absolute delight. It is nice to have a new film to put in my holiday rotation. Check out our review on it. It was just a great treat. Does it move the needle forward on the Guardian story? Not really. It's just a fun aside.
One little tidbit of that does, because you could get something meaningful paying off even more in the third Guardians.
Yeah.
Where you get the reveal of Peter and Mantis. Well, the reveal for Peter anyway, of him knowing.
Yeah. So number 5.
Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special for me, Chris. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was fun. And like you said, it's nice to add a new Christmas movie to the Christmas movie traditions. And I just love that the MCU is going and doing these kind of things. I love Kevin Bacon saying, see you at Easter. just fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So my number 5 is DC League of Super Pets. It was the only movie going into last week when we put out the that we were going to do this as our post credits off mic. I hadn't watched it, so I decided to watch it with my kids. And it was I was very entertained. It was a lot of, for us who delve into the DC world as much as we do, a lot of tips of the hat. I love that Mark Maron is Lex Luthor. I'm a huge Mark Maron fan, so I knew he was in it, but I just hearing him and doing it, I said, oh yeah, this can work. I really enjoyed it. I was not going to be surprised if I didn't like it, but yeah, my kids really got into it. I really enjoyed it. So cute movie. I more just kind of laughed throughout the post-credits scene. I was saying, oh yeah, that's also not happening any further as well.
Sorry there, little pup, but the hierarchy of power is not changing. You can go back into your kennel now.
Yes, exactly. And my wife was seeing that post-credits, and she was just like, so he's doing the voice of his own animal? I said, yeah, that's how... that no one else can do that. And I said, okay. I did also like the joke in the sense of you don't see Black Adam's head really in the light. So I said, oh, okay. So now we're making fun of Shazam too. I see what you're doing here.
He's touching all the bases.
Touching all the bases. So, and Brent's number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. So,
nice.
Number 4.
Number 4 for me is very surprising that this landed this high, because I'm not a horror fan at all. But Werewolf by Night was so much fun, Chris. So much fun. I got very much into it. Shut off the lights when I watched it, and yeah, it was great. It was. I get scared easily, but I really enjoyed it. It was compelling seeing all the hunters go up against each other. I loved it, and the monsters were fantastic. Like we got a hallway scene for Werewolf. Are you kidding me? Like, partly, and I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night is also my number 4. Just seeing that trailer, that was just like, oh, this is going to be something real special. Like, Erin still refuses, just even based off the little bit she saw of the trailer. She said, nope, not seeing it. Even black and white, not seeing it. it's so good. Man Thing, Ted. I look forward to when we see all these characters that we got introduced in Werewolf by Night in further down in the MCU. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Brent's number 4 was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Ooh.
So number 3.
Number 3 for me is Wakanda Forever. I really love this film, the way they switched it up from what they were gonna do, and it got me emotional several times throughout this film. It was an experience that I think most of the MCU fans needed after Chadwick's death, and yeah, I think it's just something that I might not go back and revisit as frequently as others.
Oh, look. See what happens when I'm not paying attention to the chat.
I didn't notice because I was reading off my
I
list.
know, yeah, I'm learning off my list, and I said, no, it's sticking around there. Yep. So bye bye, bot. Um, my number 3 is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I am a Sam Raimi fan. I think this movie is he gets to put his own stamp of it while keeping those of us fans of Sam Raimi into it. A lot of fun, great use of horror, great use of building into the multiverse. Love the introduction of America Chavez into this, the cameos. It was a lot of fun, so I really enjoyed this. This says a lot about Brent in the sense of like he's also a not a horror fan. He put Werewolf by Night as his number 3.
Wow, that is surprising, but I do remember Brent saying how much he enjoyed it,
Mm-hmm.
even besides the horror. So yeah,
Yep. So, all right, number 2.
Multiverse of Madness for me, and it's just as much because I think that Wakanda Forever like is the better made film. But for me, and what I enjoyed more was Multiverse of Madness. I'm a very big Doctor Strange fan, and to finally see Doctor Strange learn the lesson of letting somebody else do things like
Mm-hmm.
not having to hold the scalpel to be assisting. It was such a nice story because he's fought with that. He knew what the end result of the Infinity War to Endgame was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
and just let it happen. Never said anything. Like that's how it happened. So yeah, it's just finally it's nice to see him back off. Let America Chavez do her thing and not have to kill her. I just enjoyed how that played out. And like you said, Sam Raimi, Sam Raimi, Sam Raimi. It was very cool the way he shot some of those things.
Yeah. My number 2 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think I've said all I've needed to say on this with a review, going back and forth with it. It is a testament to a amazing tribute not only to Chadwick but to the future of the franchise. Bravo to everyone in the cast. But yeah, definitely my number 2, and Brent's number 2 is the Batman,
Which is my number one, the Batman.
as is my number 1.
I just love that film, Chris. I love what they did. Like from the trailer, it didn't stop how epic this was, and it's his own world. I love that it's self-contained like that. I don't know what we're going to get going forward, but it was nice to see. Just getting back to and having a detective Batman. Sorry, like most of this was him doing detective work, and I can't remember last time we got so much of that besides an animated series episode.
Yeah, like I said, the Batman, it really, just from the trailers we've seen, I knew this was going to be something special at that point, and it didn't disappoint. People may like it, people may not like it at that point, but Matt Reeves did something very much. It's like you're given a task to reboot a franchise that had been rebooted and rebooted and rebooted. Not be sometimes because for it was bad trying to do something better. Sometimes good following good. Say what you want about the end of the Nolan trilogy at that point. It was a great trilogy. It had Ben Affleck in the Snyderverse, bringing his own stamp, but never a movie proper. So him bringing in his own kind of flavor to this was very interesting. It is an interesting take. It is a one that for me, really, I look forward to the future of it. I think he established Robert Pattinson stopped a lot of critics from saying, "Oh, it's just sparkle bats" at that point, and just focused on Twilight. When I knew the man had an amazing range outside of Twilight at that point, so I'm looking forward to the future. And this is 2 years in a row that I have put a DC movie as my top because last year's was Zack Snyder's Justice League. for
Well,
me. So
you do like both, Chris. You're not a you don't
I do,
exclude.
but I find it interesting that an MC movie has not taken the number one slot. So we'll have to see next year because DC's bringing some interesting stuff. I'm not saying Marvel isn't, but I mean it's going to be very interesting to see how that works. But will DC go for the hat trick for my rankings? We'll have to see, or will Marvel finally take a number one spot? So, but yeah, and Brent's is, like I said, Brent's is at that point the Batman as well. No,
You
excuse me,
said, I
not the
said,
Batman. Yeah, yeah. So, no, it's not the Batman. My bad. I'm all screwed up at that point. Windows closing and things like that. Yeah, his is Black Panther. Wakanda Forever is his number one. So, but yeah. So number ones we got two. The Batman. Brent's is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So yeah, as we close out 2022, those are our rankings of the comic book films. We'll see what next year holds, and y'all enjoy your New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Be safe out there, and we will see you in 2023. Bye bye, everyone.
later, everyone.